Hey, 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 hey. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for joining us. Apologies as well for not streaming for a little while. Basically, I've just been busy with life. That's all it's been. It's just been about being busy with life. And you know what I think I need to do? I think I need to design, when I get time, one of those snazzy intros. Do you know what I mean? I kind of like just going into stuff, and to be honest, when you're busy, busy, you just haven't got the time. That's just the God's honest truth. Just don't have the time. Just haven't got the time to design an interesting, snazzy, wazzy intro. But I will do at some point. I will do. A lot's been going on with me, and just in general in the world, but I've just been busy all over the place. That's why I've not been streaming regularly, but I do want to, and I do aim to. But in that time I've hit 1,000 subscribers, man. I've hit 1,000 subscribers. Which is good for me. I was hoping to have done that ages ago. Because for me, I'll be honest, I'm a very competitive man. Always have been when it comes to things like sport and all the rest of it. Going back to when I was a kid, always been a very, very, very competitive person. At the end of the day, the best sports people, we compete with ourselves. So I've been like that since I've been a little kid. And I'm just glad to have gotten here to 1,000 subscribers. And I'm going to celebrate that. I've got my wife to put 1,000 candles on a cake. And so we are going to enjoy that one. Why not? Do you know what I mean? Why not? Listen, guys, you've got to learn to celebrate yourselves, because if you don't celebrate yourselves, don't expect anyone to celebrate you. Don't expect anyone to celebrate you if you're not going to be prepared to celebrate yourself. You've got to celebrate yourself. And that took me a long time to learn. Honestly did. I never used to do celebrations. Not really. I was always concerned with moving on to the next thing, growing, developing, building, which is great. But I learned I suppose the hard way. You've got to take time out to celebrate your successes as you're moving towards the goal of your purpose. Does that make sense? You've got to take time out to celebrate yourselves. Don't expect anyone else around you to celebrate you. Honestly, don't expect it. And before I go on, subscribe to the channel, like the video, hit the bell. I know that a lot of people are watching, especially the last two videos. A lot of people watch them, but did not subscribe. Right, but had a lot to write in the comments. So my last video was about in terms of the UK drill music scene, the fact that we've got baby mamas to thank, right, for the growth, for the explosion in the UK, for the amount of money and revenue that it brings into the UK. We've got baby mamas to thank for that. That was the content of my last video. Go and check it out. It's only 6 minutes long. I had a lot of people that didn't agree with my I don't know what you'd call it, with my point of view, that we've got baby mamas to thank for the amount of revenue that the drill music scene has brought into the UK. Because to be honest, the point that I made, if it were not for baby mamas, there would be no UK drill music scene. That was the point I was making. And one or two people weren't happy. Most of the guys were, said it was facts, but there were a few people that were not happy with the point I was making in that video. But do go and check it out. Do go and check it out. If you don't laugh, you're gonna cry. But no, do go and check it out. Do go and check it out and just write a comment. If you disagree with that point of view, that we've got UK baby mamas to thank for the growth of the UK drill music scene, go and watch my last video. It's on my channel. If you do not agree with that, that is absolutely fine. That's fine. Write a comment and just tell us. As I've said before, I'm trying to move away from all that content because, to be honest with you, you know, modern, independent, feminist-minded females are simply not listening. So there's not much point in talking about it. I really want to move the channel to where I think we need to be going as men who want wives, who want community, who want honest community, with women who believe in staying married for the rest of their lives. Yeah. That is the direction of the channel. But now and again, I'm going to be really honest with you. There's so much foolishness that happens in the world. You have to comment on it. You have to. And as I said before, if you don't laugh, you're going to cry, right? So the easiest way to deal with it is to make mockery of it. That's the easiest way, to send it up, right? Because it's easy to do so. It's easy to do so. So we're going to do a little bit of that in this live. You've seen the title of the live. We're going to be looking at P. Diddy or P. Doddy or Puff Daddy or Puff Diddy Doddy, whatever the hell that man's name is. And I'm not really going to be commenting per se on the foolishness that man appears allegedly. Is it allegedly still? I don't even know. I'm not going to be commenting on what's been happening to him and his son and all of the people around him and all that. I'm not going to comment on that. That's not something, because that's been done basically, and honestly it doesn't interest me. But I will be making some sort of comment on the link between P. Diddy and Prince Harry. I'm going to be saying a little bit on that. The link between P. Diddy Doddy, Puff Diddy Doddy, whatever the hell that man's name is, and whatever his name is today. I don't. Has he written his name differently on the court records? You know, and I'm wondering, can he, you know, because he could probably mount a legal defense to say it was Puff Daddy that did all that crap years ago. Years ago? Was it yesterday? I don't even know. But maybe he can mount a defense to say it was his alter ego. It was him. You know, it wasn't, you know, because if you actually, I'm not even going to make that joke. He could say it was his alter ego, one of his many personalities, or he could probably point at someone else that did it. Maybe, I don't know. Puff Daddy that did it. Puff Daddy that did it. Not him. Maybe that could be a defense. But anyway, we're going to be looking at the link between Prince Harry and P. Diddy. We're going to be looking at that. We're also going to be looking at this whole nonsense about hugging bears. Oh, no, that's not it, is it? It's about women who feel that they're safer in the forest or the jungle with a full-grown crazy bear. Or is it the crazy one? I don't know. But we're going to be looking at that. We're going to be looking at this nonsense that I've heard said to me personally, asking me, would I feel more safe in a forest with a bear or a man? I've had females come and ask me that question way before I saw all this nonsense on social media. We're going to be looking at that, right? Then I think we're going to get a little bit serious. We're going to be looking at, because I did see on social media a young brother in the United States Army who was shot and killed in his own house, in his own apartment, by the American police force, I think in Florida, which worries me a little bit because my family lives in Florida. I've got a brother and these 3 children, 2 boys in their, well, they're not boys, young men in their late 20s now. And my niece, who's in her last year of uni, I think she's about 21, something like that, 20, 21. So the fact that you can have A sheriff in Florida, as soon as this young man opens up his front door, gets shot and killed. The fact that you could have that happen, we have to talk about that. Not just because my family lives in Florida. The take that I'm gonna where we're gonna go with it is how it relates to deaths in police custody in the UK. Black male deaths in police custody in the UK. We're gonna talk a little bit about that because I think it's worth talking about. I think that's worth talking about. I think it's worth talking about. So we're going to get a little bit serious, and if we've got any time, we're going to be looking at one property, apartment sale, if you like, in Ghana. In Ghana. Why are we looking at that? Seems quite a mixed bag, but why are we looking at that? We're looking at it because, as I said before, the focus of this channel really is going to be less talking about modern independent women who basically really just don't want to be wives. We're going to be looking at the kind of life that's available to us as Black men born and brought up in the West, and where we can go to access a better life, where we can go to access a better life. So we're going to be looking at a little bit of that. And that's the reason why I look at property, not only because I love looking at property, because I do, but also because, the bottom line is, obviously or not so obviously, you should visit a country 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 20 times before you make a decision to settle there. But it's not just, part of that settling process in another country is, in my opinion, not just renting for the rest of your life. Although if that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do, that's fine. I am more talking about buying property, investing in property in whatever country you want to settle in, because that's a business investment. Property can be the lowest business investment that you can do in terms of you living there and renting out a room, which is safe and easy, so you can monitor what's going on, or buying an apartment in a serviced building and renting out that apartment. Could be a studio flat, which is tiny. You could buy that, as a lot of Nigerian guys used to do in the UK 15 years ago or whatever, at the beginning of the property boom in the UK, used to buy whole apartments on credit cards, juggle the credit. I'm not saying for you to, and that's not a knock on my Nigerian brothers. I'm about 75% Nigerian, did my DNA test, so I can say that now. I'm talking about me, effectively, right? But honestly, seriously, so it's not just about moving to other countries as Black men. It's about investing, developing ways of making money. It might be online work, it might be building business in the countries where we're deciding to or thinking about heading to. All right. So property basically is something that I understand, from my grandfather to my father to me. I understand property. It's a second language to me. And my language is music production. Got another language, but we won't talk about that. Music production, training people. I'll put it like that: training people, property development, if you like. Those are the basic languages that I speak. We're trying. That's me and the wife, or rather, we need to get back on the horse of learning to speak Tree. Probably not even pronouncing that right. But God, I really want to get into learning languages. So I want to be able to speak Yoruba or Yoruba. When you're born and brought up in South London, you say everything. It's Yoruba. I should get my wife up here to actually tell us how we pronounce it properly. Yoruba. No, but seriously, I want to learn how to speak Yoruba, Tree, Swahili, hope maybe even Spanish, Portuguese, so I can go and play capoeira in Brazil, or literally in Angola, West Africa. Yeah, so yeah, I want to get into speaking languages, basically. You know, I want to get into speaking languages, but anyway, look. Without further ado, right now, remember that foolishness. Let me just put my comments on so I can see who's gonna. And you know, if you want to write anything in the chat, please do so. Right, but a few weeks ago, someone came up to me. Right, someone came up to me. Right. And they told me, they basically asked me that stupid question, right? And this is way before I saw it on social media. I knew nothing about it. And I had someone, a young person, came up and said to me, would I prefer to be in a forest or a jungle or wherever the hell they were talking about, with a man or a bear? And I mean, at that point, I'd heard nothing about this online phenomenon of women asking other women this foolish question. I knew nothing about it, right? So I said a man, simply because, you know, bears are dangerous, blah, blah, blah. Tried to give a, you know, like a logical, straightforward, sensible answer, right? But this young person, this young female, basically said, "Oh, they'd be, you know, they'd prefer to be in a jungle or forest with a bear, because a bear is safer than a man." And then they proceeded to tell me how a bear is safer than a man, because men do this and men do that, and bears are safer because blah 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 blah, foolish fart nonsense, right? Just crap. You know, and then you want to be polite to people, especially if they're younger, especially if they're youngers. You want to be polite, right? You know, you don't want to straight up tell them that they're talking fart foolishness. I tell you, if I said, you know, the older you get, right, is the less you care about people's feelings, and the more you just talk straight facts. Did you know that? The older you get is the less you care about women's feelings, and you just talk straight facts. I mean, can you imagine someone saying that to somebody of my grandfather's generation, or, you know, my mum's generation? Can you imagine? Can you imagine? You know, they'll just get just like a complete kiss of the teeth, and maybe their teeth knocked out of their head for being so stupid. But anyway, there's this brilliant channel called Legion of Men. All right, I hate the name of the channel, but brilliant content. Do go and check them out. Right, I'm subscribed to the channel, and I get all their sort of pings and all this, and their community stuff and all the rest of it. But anyway, came across this one on their channel, which is what I'm looking at now. You can see the title of the picture, so you can see, was it the bear cheesing a man after a week with a woman? All right, and this is, it's a bit of a joke. They were so mean. I know, buddy. Right, so you got some bare chested. Well, I mean, this looks a bit suspect in itself, but it's funny, right? So you got a bear hugging a man, right? I'm assuming this is all computer generated. Unless that's unless he's Grizzly Adams' grandson, and he's grown this bear from when the bear's been a cub. But it's the comments underneath that interested me. I had to add something to it myself, right? But let's read some of these comments. Hopefully you can see that. Yes, you can. So let's read some of these comments, because I think they're quite funny. I mean, basically, it's probably 2 or 3 weeks after that foolishness went mainstream. Right, so let's read some of these comments. The bear could not bear the emotional damage caused by modern women. Women are unbearable. We couldn't bear it any longer. So it's just a lot of puns. The bear now knows the pain of dealing with modern Western women. Even the bear goes MGT, men going their own way. Perhaps men going their own way is easy to bear. So it goes on and on and on. I just found these quite funny. Man, the bear didn't deserve the BS. He was just minding his own business in the forest, living his best life. Then all those annoying Western women just show up and complaining nonstop about everything. Then they try and take his cubs, take his den, and make him pay for it. Right? In other words, divorce. In other words, divorce. That's what they're talking about. Get the bear some bears and some smoked salmon skin. Let him unwind after all the crap he had to deal with. We got you, brother bear. So I just think these comments are quite funny. Bear, they are so mean, man. At least you got one meal out of her. You know what I mean? Poor bear lost his den, has no access to his cubs. She got it all. Again, talking about divorce, because that's what divorce is. That's what divorce is. Being trapped among all those women was a grisly affair for him. So it goes on and on and on. So I think these comments are quite funny myself. I think these comments are quite funny. But, you know, I sat and thought again about what that question meant. The whole thing about would you rather be in, and the question is really directed at Western women, right? Would you rather be in the forest with a bear than with a man, right? Now, with all those women on social media saying that they would rather be in the forest with a bear, at some level, that's meant to hurt men, right? That's meant to hurt men. But really, when you really think about it, it tells you something about modern Western women, that these women would, you know, they seriously, you know, we have seriously made Western culture, Western society so easy to live in, so sanitized, so civilized, if you like, with so many safety nets that help modern Western women, that they seriously, honestly believe that it's safer to be in a forest, or they're prepared to make that comparison, whether in jest, whether through disrespect, which is really where it comes from. Disrespect of wild animals, definitely disrespect of the very men that have civilized and sanitized the society that we all live in the West. That these women are quite prepared to make this kind of a stupid comparison in the face of the very men that have built the society, the roads, the airports, the infrastructure, the bridges, the cars, the street lighting. All of this, the very men that they're so happy and confident and comfortable to disrespect everything in the West that men have built for them, to literally say, I'd rather be in a forest with a bear than with a man. Rick, so apologies, brother. Good to have you. Good to have you aboard. Good to have you aboard. It's ridiculous. Totally and utterly ridiculous. But this is where modern Western society takes you, or has taken us. Do you seriously think, right, that women in non-Western countries would be so silly to make this kind of a comparison? No. Why? Because there's no NHS system in most countries. There's no safety nets of the like that we, or rather that men, have put in place for Western women or Westerners, or in the West for people living in Western countries. Other countries around planet Earth don't have these safety nets. So the complacency isn't there. The disrespect isn't there. It's not. It just isn't. So that's the way that I read it. I read it as just basically gross disrespect. But I love the comments. I love the sarcasm in these comments. I love it. I love it. I love it. And it got me thinking about something else. So let me remove that. And I want to bring this up. Let me bring this up. Right, here we go. Let me share that. Let me do that. Let me bring that up. So hopefully you can see that. Right? Hopefully you can see that. So let me make myself a little bit bigger as well. Not that big, but that big. That would do. I think that would do. So you can see, right? So I just want to ask you, before we go any further, I want to ask you that picture with, is it that one right there? The one immediately next to me, right? What's wrong with that picture? Besides the obvious, what's wrong with that picture? What is wrong with that picture? What's wrong with that picture? I'll give you 5 seconds. Now, remember, right? You see, in all of this, these women assume that bears would prefer to be in a forest with them. You see, because it's one thing, all right? It's like your girlfriend or your wife, maybe, or your baby mother, saying that she's bought you a Christmas present, and the Christmas present she buys you is a pink umbrella. Right? A pink umbrella. What I mean by that is it's not something you've asked for. It just isn't. You know, a lot of Western women actually seriously believe that they are God's gift, that they are the gift, that they are the prize, right? To the point where wild animals, let alone men in the West, but wild animals would be happy to have them around. That's what they believe. They can't fathom, right, that not only men but animals really want them around, which is why men are trying to get traditional wives in other countries, even if they're not looking to be married. Just think that the juice is more worth the squeeze in a non-Western country. In the case of the picture directly next to me, what's wrong with that picture? I bet none of you lot have seen it. She's wearing a fur coat, man. This woman next to me is wearing a fur coat. I was looking at this picture just on the web, and I was looking at it, and it suddenly dawned on me, this woman's wearing a fur coat. She's wearing a fur coat. So she's gone out into I know this picture's staged, obviously, but she's gone out into the forest or the bush or wherever the hell she is, right, Siberia, to hug a flipping bear, and they've got her wearing a fur coat. She's wearing a fur coat. She's hugging a bear as if she's God's gift to a bear, and the woman's wearing a fur coat. The woman is wearing a fur coat. It's all about me. It's all about me. It's all about me. She doesn't understand that she's hugging a bear wearing a fur coat. And, whether it's staged or not, I don't know. Well, obviously it must be. But it shows the mentality, right, of the women in our part of the world. That she seriously believes, right, that she's welcome anywhere and everywhere. No. And the picture next to that one's just ridiculous as well, really. It's almost like being 21 or whatever it is, and she knows that she's got a high value man or a guy that earns a lot of money, right? And she is literally draping, just clinging onto him to make sure that the other women don't try and smooch their way in. So she's hanging on to him, the bear, for dear life. Or is it the other way around? I don't even know. Anyway, whatever. Right. So it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. You got one wearing a fur coat. You got one wearing a fur coat, and then you got the other one next to it, right? Grabbing onto that bear as if she's at a function or in a party, and she doesn't want any of the other women to come and check for the bear. Crazy. Let's move on. Right, okay, so I was actually thinking, right, where's all this love of bears come from? Where's all this love of bears come from? And I realized it's from childhood. It's from childhood. It's all those little kiddies or parents that used to buy their children bears. Honestly, it must be that. It can't be anything else. It's all those little kiddies that used to get bought bears, and they got lulled or are lulled or think that these things are just cuddly, that these wild animals are just cuddly animals. They're not. These are wild creatures that will eat you. So the reason why a lot of women, when asked the question, would you rather be in the forest with a bear or a man? This is the reason why they would rather be in the forest with a bear. They've got no understanding that they're dealing with wild animals. They seriously think they're dealing with cuddly little bears. I think somewhere psychologically, subconsciously rather, they seriously believe that they're dealing with little cuddly little bears. They're dealing with cuddly little bears. It must be that. I think that's at the root of it. I think that's at the root of it. I think that's at the root of it. They think they're dealing with cuddly little bears. Somewhere up here. They think they're dealing with cuddly little bears. They think that they can pull a string from round its bum, and the bear is going to start talking to her or sing some songs or something like that. Bloody nonsense, right? But honestly, I'm not kidding. I think this is where it all comes from. I'm serious. Do you really think, right, a woman who lives in a country where there's zero safety nets, whose parents don't buy them cuddly little bears, do you seriously think, right? Or where do you seriously think that woman is going to think that it's safer to be in the bush, in the jungle, in the forest with a wild animal? No, it don't work like that, man. No, it's only in our part of the world, our sanitized part of the world with safety nets, where honestly, where Western women think that it's safer to be with a wild animal. because they were, I think, just my personal opinion, they were given bears as bait when they were babies. But the bears don't want them around. But the bears don't want them around. Anyway, look at this caption. They look so cute and cuddly, but the slightest thing can turn this beautiful creature into something so dangerous and violent that the toughest of men could be killed or maimed for life. Here you can see it cuddling a bear. So I just found that funny. Just found it funny. She looks quite nice though. And look where its paws are. Right. So I don't know if she put the bear's paws. I don't know if she put the bear's paws on purpose on her behind, or if the bear did it, or if it's a fake bear, or if it's CGI or FBI or AI. I don't know. Right. But I found it funny anyway. Right. And there's more tomfoolery. Right. So you see, this is where it all goes. right? Now, this is bear abuse or animal abuse or whatever. So this is one of those things where really, if that's a real animal, you got to really, and look, there's the bear by the bed. Can you see that little, that's what I mean. I didn't even notice that at first, but look, there's a bit, that's what I mean, right? So the female you can see here is nothing but a big kid, a big child. Right? She's just a big child. She's a big child. She thinks this real cuddly bear is the same as a flipping Paddington bear that she had when she was 5. Now, remember, this is all off the back of women saying that they're safer in the jungle with a bear than a man. That's where this all comes from, right? That everybody needs to be crystal clear. This comes from what women have been saying. Not what men started saying, what women started saying. So if anyone comes in there and gets annoyed and all the rest of it, understand this came from what Western women started saying on social media and basically started running around asking each other and asking men as well. You know, a woman asked me, right, before I knew anything about this. That is where this comes from. Yeah. So let's be crystal clear about it, right? So I'm not even going to bother talking about the look. This bear doesn't even want to be here. Right? The bear wants to run, right? So what is this crazy woman doing on my back? But anyway, look at the Bible scripture. Look, I just thought, look, as a Christian, which is what I am, I thought I had to look at some Bible. So Proverbs 21:9. It's better for a bear to dwell on the corner of a roof than with a nagging woman in a house. That's Bible. Yeah, that's Bible. So, Rix, I'm trying to convert you, bro. I want you to take that scripture on board. And I want you to, Selah, meditate on that scripture. It's better for a bear to dwell on a corner of a roof. And if you don't believe me, go and check out Proverbs 21:9. Open up your Bibles, your Bible app, or if you've got a real Bible, open up your Bible now. It's better for a bear to dwell on the corner of a roof than with a nagging woman in a house, which is probably why he's outside in the jungle. Look, here's another one. This is where the lunacy goes for women. All right, women who think it's better to be with a bear in the forest than with a man. This is where the lunacy goes. Now you can see the little Paddington bear, the bed, and a great big bear. Right? This is where the madness goes. This is where it all goes, man. This is where it goes. I don't know whose fantasy this is. This is where this nutty nonsense goes. That's where it goes, man. Whoops. This is where it goes. This is where it goes, man. This is where it goes. This woman's got 2 bears. Although that bear looks like it's smiling. But anyway, right? And this is the woman's husband. This is the woman's husband. I don't know if he's taking photographs or what, but that bear's are saying, I don't know what the bear's saying. Go away, we've not finished yet, or rescue me, rescue me. I don't know. And the woman looks like she's had 2 bear cubs or wants a bit. I don't know. I don't know what's going on. But anyway, yeah, you can surmise from that photograph what the hell's going on. Because Minanur, I have no idea. I seriously have no idea what the hell is going on with that photograph. But yeah. But look, here's some of men, right? And the bear looks happier, though. I was just going to say, look, doesn't that bear look happier? Look, this bear's happy. Look, I don't know if that's his mate or... But he looks happy. He could bite his hand off, but he's not gonna do it. They're friends. They actually look like friends. So this bear is definitely, I think anyway, definitely happier with this man. Look at that. Look, that's how happy the bear is. Look, this proves that bears are a lot happier when they've got men around. You can't say this bear, look, Rix, you can't say this bear isn't happier. That's a happy looking bear. Oh, bless. Look, look. Oh. Look, you can't get better than that. Look, that's a happy looking bear. Content. Look, it's like they're going to sing some, it's like they're in a musical and they're going to sing some song. It's like they're in a musical and they're going to sing some song. Brilliant. I don't know why he's dressed like a Cossack though. Oh yeah, sorry, Siberia. This is the Siberian jungle, isn't it? Or somewhere, I don't know, Siberian forest or some such place. Don't know about that one though. That's a bit weird. No, that photograph's odd. But anyway, right, so I think that photograph does it for me. That's a happy bear. And that's after spending time not with a Western modern feminist minded female. That's a happy bear after spending a bit of time with a few blokes. Foolishness. I don't know. Right, I just found it funny. Came across the pictures, I just had to show it, man. I just found it funny. I found it funny. I found it funny. I found it funny. But anyway, look, let's move on to the next thing. Hopefully you got something out of that. I don't know what you would have gotten out of that, but maybe, I'm hoping you would have got something out of that. I'm hoping you would have got something out of that. So what we're going to do now is this. Actually, let me bring that back up because there's something on there that I did want to show you. Let me just make sure. Right, okay, so the next little topic is our friend P. Diddy and Prince Harry. P. Diddy, Prince Harry, and I suppose it involves Kanye or Ye or whatever the hell the man's called now. So P. Diddy, Doddy, Kanye, Ye, whatever why do these people continually change their names? Does anyone know why these people, is it for tax purposes? Because the first person to start changing his name that I know about was Prince. Because if you remember, if you're a Prince fan or if you're as old as me, remember that Prince was called Prince at the beginning and then he changed his name to a symbol. You may remember that. And he was just literally called, literally just a symbol. And I think that's something to do with his record company or getting him out of his record company contract, feeling like a prisoner or something like that. Anyway, I can't quite remember the detail. That was a long time ago. But he was the first person that I knew, a musical artist that changed his name. Is that why P. Diddy, Daddy, and Ye, Kanye, whatever, is that why they're changing their names? Or is that because of divorce? Or is that because of the crazy court case that's now going on with P. Diddy? Which I'm not really bothered about, if I'm really honest with you, because it's not really any of my business, right? And I don't know the detail. But apparently, he's been doing some funny business for many years. And you've probably seen the footage of him not being very nice to his ex-girlfriend. I'm not going to talk about that. What I'm going to talk about is this, right? So let's add this in, right? Now, you see, this is not necessarily about P. Diddy, Doddy, whatever. This is more about our Prince Harry. He's not our Prince Harry anymore, though, is he? He belongs to you guys in America. Right? He belongs to you guys in America. Right? He's not our prince anymore. He's I'm pretty sure, don't correct me if I'm wrong, but hasn't Prince Harry isn't he now a nationalized American? Correct me if I'm wrong, but does he now have an American passport? I'm pretty sure look, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but I think now he's actually an American. If I'm wrong, just write in the comments I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I'm happy to be completely wrong. But I did have someone tell me now that he's a nationalized American, so he's no longer, he's so disgusted with our country, with England. That's what somebody told me, that he's now a nationalized American. Anyway, look at this. Harry named in P. Diddy SEX traffic case, right? So now this picture, God, when was it taken? When was this picture taken? Oops, let me do this. Bear with me. Let me do this. Right, okay, so I've got it here. So can hardly see it properly, but let's have a little read. Right, so Prince Harry has been named in a £24 million sex trafficking lawsuit against US rapper P. Diddy, right? Bombshell legal filings allege legitimacy to the wild parties where serious illegal activity took place. A 73-page lawsuit in New York from record producer Rodney Jones contains a litany of sexual assault allegations against Diddy, 54 years old, real name Sean Combs, right? His California, Florida homes were also raided by the FBI. Harry is not accused of any wrongdoing. Fair enough, he's not accused of any wrongdoing, but the fact his name's in there. And he was at, did it say he was at some of those parties? Did it say he was at some of those parties? Diddy used Harry's name to give legitimacy to wild parties where so it doesn't say he was at any of those parties, but it doesn't say he wasn't. He might have been, I don't know. But the point is, it does warrant some kind of investigation, doesn't it? I mean, if we're going to investigate his uncle, Prince Andrew, if we're going to investigate him, then should we investigate whether or not Harry was at any of these crazy alleged parties organized by P. Diddy? Is that worthy of some kind of investigation? Honestly, I'd like to see it just for a laugh. Because, you see, over the years, I've noticed that Harry has basically put himself in some funny situations. This picture symbolizes one of them. Look, he's got his arm around P. Diddy, right? The guy on his other shoulder is Kanye West. God knows where this picture was taken. Why does this little boy, or at least a little boy at the time, this picture was taken a little while ago, was it, I think? Why does he want to be associated with these people? Why? What credibility does he believe this is adding to his name? Because it's adding no credibility, none. It's adding zero credibility. Maybe it's because he's trying to get rid of the stigma of this little faux pas. Right? Because, God, when was this one? This was a few years ago, right? So at a party, Prince Harry, right, thought it was a good idea to dress up as a Nazi officer, right? And don't get me wrong, right? I know people make mistakes. I totally get it, especially when you're young. You do things that are silly and you got to apologize for it. You live to regret it. But at some level, this kid thinks this is funny. I think he was about 20 at the time. Yeah, 20 at the time. So Prince Harry stuns partygoers by attending a pal's birthday bash dressed as a Nazi soldier. Harry, 20, wore a swastika and desert uniform of Rommel's hated German Afrika Korps to the party in West Littleton. Now, at some level, you see, you can't call this guy stupid and ignorant, because you've got to know what that uniform's all about. At 20 years old, you're not stupid. You might be dumb, but you're not stupid, right? And then what does he go on to do? All right, maybe as recompense, he goes on to marry Meghan Markle. Goes on to marry Meghan Markle. But after he marries Meghan Markle, right, he does this, right? All right. So he decides it's a good idea to do a photo op with this guy. conman Nigerian king, right, deported from the US, right? I'm not going to bother reading the whole story to you, right? So he does a photo op, right, of a Nigerian king who Harry hailed as his new in-law. Right. So I don't know. Look, I'm not. You can check out this article for yourself. You know, I can hardly be bothered to read it, but I think, right, that what Harry's alluding to is that this man is in some way, shape, or form related to his current wife. I say current wife, Meghan Markle. So he does a photo op. New in-law is a con man deported from America twice. Oh God. So should I even bother to read a little bit of this flipping nonsense, right? Let me see. I've got it. I'll read a little bit. I will read a little bit. All right. Bear with me. So this article is in the Mail. It's even worth reading this. I will do. Right. You know what? I cannot be bothered. But anyway, look, actually, you know what? I'll read a little bit. Taking the microphone, Prince Harry gestured towards the Nigerian royals arranged before him, playfully calling them his in-laws. So maybe they're not actual in-laws. It brought laughter from his audience. I'll skip the protocol because at this point, we're all family, the Duke added. To more guffaws. I have no idea. You know, I can't be bothered to read this, right? But I think it's Meghan and Queen, blah 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 blah. Tracksuit fraud. Oh, here we go. Meghan with Queen Frudus, wife of tracksuited fraudster Akanbi, left, who's twice been barred for life by the US. I don't know if that's Meghan Markle's actual in-laws, and I can hardly be bothered to read the article. But the point is, you know what? When someone decides to move out because when he was a fully fledged member of the royal family, at least he was, if you like, being guided, being protected by the whole royal establishment and team. They've got a load of guide, they've got all kinds of people advising them within the royal family. Now that he's left that camp, guess what's happened? He's got no one advising him about anything. So basically he's running around doing photo ops, making alliances and doing all kinds of stuff with unsavory people, in my opinion. But his judgment clearly has always been poor from the time that he decided to wear that Nazi outfit to his mate's party. All right, his judgment has always been poor. But you know what his worst judgment was? You know what his worst. Do you know what his worst judgment call was? Marrying Meghan Markle, in my personal opinion, and that's just my personal opinion. So his judgment has always been suspect. His judgment's always been suspect. From photo opportunities with known or accused or suspected fraudsters like this guy, right, to wearing a swastika when he was 20 years old to his mate's party. Not just a swastika, but a whole German outfit. Right, to photo opportunities with this guy, right? P. Diddy, Daddy, Doddy, whatever the hell his name is. And to be honest, Kanye West, I'd love to know what this is all about, right? Why? What? And look at the T-shirt P. Diddy's wearing as well. So P. Diddy knew that Harry was going to be at whatever shindig this is. Purposefully tried to woo. This is an attempt. Wearing that Princess Diana T-shirt is an attempt to woo Harry, right? To basically beg friends with royalty. That's what this one's all about. That's the reason why P. Diddy, Daddy, Doddy wore this T-shirt. I wonder if they're still mates. I wonder if they're still friends. I wonder if Harry's given P. Diddy Daddy a ring of solidarity, to tell him, look, I'm standing by you, my brother. I'm standing by you, my brother. I wonder if he actually gave him. I wonder if he gave him a ring. I wonder if P. Diddy's received a phone call of solidarity from Meghan Markle or Harry, former prince. Just Harry. Just Harry. Or Kanye West. Right? I wonder who he's, because I know apparently, not that I follow social media, because honestly I don't. I probably should, but I can't be bothered. I know a lot of people have basically unfollowed, a lot of famous people have unfollowed Diddy, Daddy, Doddy. They've unfollowed him. I wonder if Harry's unfollowed him. And the way people talk about that, unfollowed, right? As if that means something. Somebody's unfollowed you. Who gives a monkeys about that? Somebody's unfollowed you. Who cares? But I know in the world of social media, that means something, right? So apparently a lot of famous people have unfollowed Diddy, Daddy, Sean Puffy Doddy, right? I wonder if Kanye West has unfollowed. I wonder if... Anyway, whatever. Right, I think you get the point, right? Again, this one's in this brilliant publication called The Sun newspaper. So, if you can be bothered, go down to your local fish and chip shop and ask if they've got a copy of The Sun, right? Because, you're probably only going to find it in your local chip shop, in your local fish and chip shop. Oh boy, this picture makes me laugh the most. Oh boy, this woman looks kind of nice though. This woman looks kind of nice. Bit heavy makeup, but she looks kind of cute. But anyway, he looks funny in that dodgy tracksuit. TK Maxx tracksuit, man. Not that there's anything wrong with TK Maxx, because there isn't. And this last one, right? So you could read the headline there, and again, this is with the Sunday Sports. So it might just be literally a load of nonsense, right? But it just made me laugh. Actually, it's not that funny, but I'll just read it anyway. Tradesman enthroned tragedy. Prince Harry's plumber found dead with head in the toilet. Now you can't look. This is the Sunday Sports. So there's a good chance it's not going to be true, especially when you look at the headlines inside. Flush Harry dead in. It's just nonsense, right? But if true, which it may or may not be, kind of sad. I mean, that's not great publicity as well. Really, if it is true, then it's terrible for the family of the plumber to be found, dead in a toilet. I mean, again, it goes into detail in the article. It's the Sunday Sport. It may or may not be true. If true, it's terrible. And I do hope that Prince Harry, or just Harry, whatever his job title is now, I do hope that he sent condolences to the family if this is indeed true and it's a Sunday Sport. So it may or may not be true. Funny, but actually not. I don't know if it is funny or not. I don't know. I do not know. I don't know. For those of you that don't know, this is also a celebration, 1,000 subscribers. This is my 1,000 subscriber show. For those of you that do know, that don't know, see, you're allowed to congratulate me. I'll accept all congratulations. Man. This is my 1,000 subscribers. Took a long time to get it, and the thing about YouTube is that you've got to be doing it regularly, Lily, to actually get anywhere doing this. And you got to focus. I'm going to do my best to stream regularly, to give you this amazing content. I would do my best to stream regularly, even if it's just going to be like twice a week. I'm going to try my best to do that. Thank you to all the subscribers, everyone that subscribed to my channel. Just remember to hit the bell as well, so you get notified when I go live, or just when I do an upload. Make sure you hit the bell. Don't just watch this, subscribe to the channel and hit the bell. All right. Okay, good. That's my call to action. That is my call to action. Let me have a quick look at this before we move on. Let me have a quick look at this before we move on. Yeah. Cool. Okay, right. Now, what we're going to do is probably get a lot more serious. I mean, honestly, all of that there is just nothing more than pure nonsense. That's all that is, right? Everything we've looked at is just nothing more than funny nonsense, right? Lynn Ford writes, congratulations on getting 1,000 subs. Thank you, Lynn Ford. Thank you very, very much. Thank you. I'll just celebrate myself again. Okay, so you know what? We're going to get a little bit more serious with this next thing that we're going to be looking at. We are going to get a little bit more serious, all right? So you may have heard, right, about the airman, Roger Fortson. I'm really hoping that I'm pronouncing his name right as well. He's a young guy. He was just in his early to mid 20s. US Air Force senior airman who got shot when he opened the door to his apartment in Florida. He was shot by a policeman, a sheriff's deputy. All right. So let's bring up his face so you can actually see it. So this is kind of sad, right? So so this young chap, right, US Air Force senior airman Roger Fortson, hopefully I'm pronouncing his name right, was shot in his home when he opened up the front door. Shot a few times. I think he was shot something like 4, 5, or 6 times by a Florida sheriff's deputy. Now, I'm not going to show the footage. One, because it's awful. It's terrible to look at. You can find it on YouTube. You don't have to search very far. He was shot and killed. Now, when you do, and I do recommend that you go and watch the footage. I am not going to play it. I'm not even going to show any still images. I'm not doing that out of respect for this young man. Do you understand? And his family. I'm not going to show it. You can go and find the footage on the what do you call it? You know, the camera footage that was taken at the time by the police, right? By the police officer, right? And you know, normally in cases like this, what tends to happen is that the policeman turns off the camera, loses the footage, and apologizes. So there's no evidence. Right, so it's just basically his word, right? But in this case, that didn't happen. I don't know why it didn't happen. I don't know why the officer didn't just delete the footage. I don't know how that bit works, right? I don't know if it's something whereby he cannot delete the images, the footage, but you know, thank God, in this instance, the footage was not deleted. Anyhow, what happened, and there's an American brother, ex-black guy, ex-policeman. I will go and check his channel. I can't remember Nathan, can't remember what his surname is, African-American YouTuber, ex-copper, who I know for a fact would have done some great content on this. Can't remember what his surname is. Oh, you know what? I'll put his link in this description so you can go and check out his content, because no doubt he would have done some brilliant content on this issue, because that's what he does. He analyzes issues related to the American police. So what happened in this case, as the footage shows us, is he gets called to I don't know what we would call an estate of apartments. And some white woman basically says that there's a commotion going on in a particular apartment building, flat. We call it a flat. You guys call it an apartment. She directs him to that apartment. where she says the commotion is happening. The police officer goes up the stairs. This is what the camera footage shows us. He knocks on the door, stands to the side, which is, I gather that's good practice, just in case somebody shoots through the door. He says on a number of occasions, open up, open up. I think I've not got the footage in front of me. I've not watched it for a couple of days. I think he announces the fact that he's a police officer, open up. After a while, the young man opens the door. This young man's got a gun in his right hand, but the gun is not up, the gun is down. I want to make it really clear. The gun is down. As soon as he's opened up the door, the police officer opens up and pumps a whole heap of bullets into this young man. The young man falls down on the floor. Only at that point does the officer say, drop, was it something like drop the gun? After he's pumped a whole heap of bullets into him. So the whole thing, he's been placed on, I think the Americans called it administrative leave. Don't quote me on that. Either way, he's not out on the street. Or he's been suspended or something. Obviously, the young man dies, and this is this is all being investigated. And so the question really is: was the police officer right to pump bullets into him? Those are my words. Because he had a gun. Or was he wrong to do so because the gun was lowered? Should the police officer have asked him to, or ordered him to drop the gun? Now, you have to understand that this young man, to my understanding, had legal possession of a firearm. Meaning that he's got, I think in America, they've got, you meant to have a license. My understanding is that he had all of the legal documentation. So he was legally allowed to carry a gun. Somebody's come to, put yourself in his position, somebody's come to the front door saying that they're a copper, that they're a policeman. So are you meant to believe that? You can't see him through the spy hole because he stood off to the side. In America, unlike the UK, everybody carries guns, right? Everybody in these bear carries guns. Everybody carries guns. Everybody carries guns in America. It's not like the UK. It's not like the UK where only drill music rappers run around carrying guns and shooting each other up. That's a joke. Poor taste, apologies. But it's not like the UK where the average Joe simply just doesn't carry a gun. In America, everybody's got a gun, and that's normal. That's completely normal. This police officer opens up and pumps a whole heap of bullets into this young man, all right? As soon as the young man opens the door, boom, 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 on the floor. After a short time, the young man passes away. You have to ask the question. You have to ask the question, and the question is being asked. Remember, you're dealing with America, with a history of racial violence and oppression. That's what America is. It is. I'm just saying it the way it is. Some people that watch this are not going to like me saying it, but it's true. You're dealing with America with a whole heap of racial violence and injustice, and then when you put guns into the mix, it's crazy. So anyway, this young man dies. He passes away. Yeah. If that were a white young man, would the policeman's first response be to see a gun? It's not. Remember, the gun isn't raised. The young man isn't. The gun is down by his side. Would his first response be to say, drop the gun, or would it be to pump bullets into a young white guy in their mid-20s? What would be so that's one question. Mate, some of you are going to say that's a rubbish question. Who cares? That's just drop the race stuff. You're gonna have that response, and that's fine. That is absolutely fine. But it's a question, and when you look at the history of America in terms of race and all the rest of it, when it comes to young black men or just black men, you have to ask that question. It's a fair question. That is a fair question. It is. Come on, it's a fair question. So anyway, that's what's been going on. That's what's gone on in America. And I've seen loads of videos, I've got to say, and they're all on YouTube. You don't even have to look very far. I've seen loads of videos, not just the obvious one regarding George Floyd, or years before, the one that kicked off the LA riots. Can't remember what his name is now. That was about 30 years ago. Not just those two. I've seen loads of videos of young black men being pumped full of bullets or they're all just on YouTube. You don't even have to look very far. Young black men being pumped full of bullets or sat on until they're dead. I've seen videos of that. But it made me think, right? What it made me think about was, or it made me think again of issues or situations, cases in the UK of deaths in custody, black men dying in police custody. That is what it made me think about. Made me think. Now, I know that we're not meant to be thinking about this stuff anymore. Some people say that we're living in a post-racial society. Right? That's what some people would have us believe. But situations like this really just bring it right back. Basically, bring it right back. So what I wanted to do, right, was look at some statistics in the UK of black deaths in police custody. Black deaths in police custody, black male deaths in police custody. So we're going to look at a few facts and figures around that. I hope I'm not boring you. And honestly, I don't apologize for it anyway. Right? So hopefully you can see that. Hopefully you can see that. Let me make it a bit bigger. Let me just make sure I'm in the right place. Here we go. Right, now, believe it or not, specific lists are hard to come by. To be honest, data around black men, black people in general in the UK, is that literally, it's hard to come by, right? Data around black men is even harder to come by, right? But I found this list. This list is on a website called Institute of Race Relations. This is black deaths in custody in the UK. This isn't just black male deaths. This is, if you like, this includes Asian men and women and black women as well. But we'll pick out the black men, and I want you to focus also on how they died as well. And then we'll look at a couple of other statistics around percentage per head of population and that sort of thing, so that you can get an accurate figure as to actually, what percentage per head of black population or black male population in the UK we're talking about. All right. Now, you've got to understand that some of these deaths actually kicked off riots in the UK, right? Okay, but so let's have a little read of this. So deaths in police custody and psychiatric custody since 1978. We list below those deaths of black and minority ethnic individuals which have taken place in prison, police or hospital. By hospital, we're talking about psychiatric hospitals, hospital custody, which have given a rise to concern because of unexplained or mysterious circumstances surrounding those deaths and or allegations of maltreatment, dereliction of duty or brutality. Bloody hell. Each entry in this list contains the following details: name, age, date of death, category code, circumstances surrounding death, inquest verdict, so on and so on and so forth. All right, so let's just quickly run through these. Most of these I've never heard of, but some of them we are well aware of in the UK, or at least in the black community, right? And some of these police stations, I've got to say, have been notorious over the years as well. So, Michael Ferreira, this is a black guy, died at Stoke Newington police station after being stabbed in a racist attack. So basically, what would have happened there, he would have been stabbed in a racist attack. Then he would have been arrested, right? So he would have been arrested, and then they would have taken him to the police station rather than to hospital, and then not called the suitable care, and then he would have died from his own stab wounds in the police station. I kid you not. That's the first one. This is an Asian brother. And, you know, even Asian deaths in police custody, I think you got to look at those as well. Even though they're not necessarily black people of African Caribbean descent, it's still worth noting that Asian men and women have died in police custody as well. I don't know what the head of population is in terms of deaths in dodgy circumstances related to the police, but just note it as we go forward. Yeah, Henry Floyd died in 1979, found hanged in a cell of in the West End Central Police Station. Verdict is suicide. Right, of all the places to hang himself, right? We're meant to believe, and again, we're meant to believe. Right, that basically we are killing ourselves, if you like. When we come into contact with the police, we're doing it to ourselves. This is the other thing that we're meant to believe. Smiley Culture died when police entered his home. We are meant to believe that he killed himself. Right, Smiley Culture. That's the popular Caribbean toaster MC. You know, remember that police officer, nobody give me producer. You know, I think that was his first single. We're meant to believe that he killed himself when police came. Anyway, Henry Floyd, John, I can't pronounce that surname. Some of the surnames I'm not going to try and pronounce. Died in Brixton Police Station while awaiting trial. Richard Campbell, 1980, died of dehydration after being force-fed with large quantities of drugs. Force-fed and large quantities of drugs in Ashford Remand Centre. I don't even understand that. Death by self-neglect because of inadequate medical facilities. What kind of verdict is that? Death by self-neglect due to inadequate medical facilities. Crazy. Leroy Gordon, 20 years old, 20-year-old man, died in Pershore police station after crowd suspecting him of robbery sat on him. Asphyxiation due to compression of the neck. Does that sound familiar? Oh, I have no idea. How the hell can this happen? Police station after crowd suspecting him of robbery sat on him. How does that even happen? And that all happened in a police station in 1980. Winston Rose died in a police van after being restrained by police officers taking him to a psychiatric hospital. Unlawful killing at the hands of wolves. I wonder if that resulted in a prosecution. To my knowledge, there's only been one prosecution of a police officer in the last, in the last 30, 40 years. There's only been one, to my knowledge. I'm assuming this is an Asian brother. Died in Thornhill Police Station, Birmingham. Paul Worrell. Now, remember, you could tell by the names who's a black man. Right, Paul Worrell, 82, a suicide risk, fair enough, was found hanged in Brixton Police Station. And by the way, I grew up in Brixton, was found hanged. A lot of people died in Brixton Police Station. So there's something wrong with the police station. A suicide risk was found hanged in Brixton police station after obtaining the materials to kill himself. So how the hell, right? I mean, you might say it's 1982, there's no cameras there. If someone is a suicide risk, he should be watched. He should be watched. Changra Singh, Franklin Lee, according to the police, died of injuries sustained during a burglary. So okay, so fine. He's not a perfect guy. Did a burglary, right? Somehow got injured while he was doing the burglary, and he died of that. Right. This is what we're led to believe, right? Or meant to believe. Simeon Collins, in 1982, died of acute injuries to liver and spleen day after being arrested by City Road Police. Accidental death. How that? Colin Roach, 1983, died of gunshot wound sustained while he was in Stoke Newington police station. So he got shot while he was in the police station. Now, we're meant to believe that was a suicide. Of all the places to go and commit suicide, right, we're meant to believe that this guy chose to do it in a police station. James Riddock died after being denied treatment for diabetes and sickle cell for 12 hours in posh Kensington police station. Natural causes attributed to self-neglect. This is after, it literally says here, being denied treatment for diabetes. We don't know if that's type 2 or what type diabetes that was, but it's clear this guy basically had a congenital condition in terms of sickle cell. African brother Nicholas Afuso, if I'm pronouncing his name right, 1983, death by misadventure. I have no idea what that means. Matthew Paul found hanged in Lehman Street police station, suicide due to lack of care. And that's what I mean. If someone's, if these guys are known to be suicide risks, then they should be monitored. Put them in a straitjacket. But basically, these guys are banged up, chucked in the police cell and left to rot. And it goes on and on and on. And when you read this, there's a pattern to this. When you read it, I mean, you can read it yourself. Cynthia Jarrett, not a black man, but, Cynthia Jarrett, for those of you that know, do Google her name. After this death, I think she died when police raided her house looking for her son. It was the cause of one of the riots in London. That's the only reason I bring that up. Keith Hicks, Anthony Lloyd Powell, Stephen Bogle, Donald Chambers, Anwar, I can't pronounce the surname. It's probably an East African brother. Cyphus Limard. Most of these I do not know. Clinton McKerbin, Ahmed Katangol, and it goes on and on and on and on. Right through the 80s, this brother died in Wandsworth Prison. All of the London prisons and police stations, the big ones, there's been deaths of black men. Just got to say it the way it is. Have to say it the way it is, and it goes on right through the 80s when I was at school and college, right? Out running around nightclubs around the West End. Basically, you got black men dying in police custody. And it goes on and on and on, on and on and on. And you could read about all of these individual cases online on the internet. So this is what that case of that young brother in Florida being shot by that copper, this is what it reminded me of. All of these deaths in police custody. And as you can see, most of these are black men. Just look, you can read this for yourself. You can go to the website yourself and check it out yourself. Just go and check it out yourself, man. Look, I know it's not fun. I know it's not a joke, right? But these are, and every one of these deaths has obviously affected the lives of the family members they've left behind. Go and check it out for yourself. Yeah, serious. Right up through the 90s. And it goes on and on and on. Can you see how many people died at Brixton Police Station? Wayne Douglas, right, died in Brixton Police Station, accidental death. I'll be really honest, right? I don't know how the police gets away with this. Seriously. Well, I know how they get away with it, but I don't know how they can get away with it, because it goes on and on. These are all police deaths. Every single one of these in police custody. So Christopher Elder died after being arrested by Hull police, dragged to the station, placed on the floor face down and handcuffed. In June 2002, a judge ordered the jury to clear 5 police officers charged with manslaughter and misconduct in a public office charges because of conflicting evidence on how he died. David Bennett, look, this is 1998 now. Patrick Lewis, Roger Sylvester died 7 days after being restrained by police in Tottenham. Inquest verdict unknown. I don't know what they mean by that. Robert, you got to understand, these are mostly black men dying in police custody. And it goes on and on and on. This is one woman. Don't know, I'm assuming she was Chinese. These are all black men, mostly black men, dying in police custody. Right, so from the early 80s, 90s, right up into the 2000s. I don't know how, I think this list stops. In fact, when the hell does this list stop? Because it goes to Derek Bennett, shot dead in the street by police, by Brixton police, who alleged they were called by a member of the public. Does that sound familiar? Derek was carrying a novelty lighter shaped like a gun. So let's shoot the man dead. Ricky Bishop, taken to Brixton Police Station to be searched where he was restrained, then taken to King's College Hospital where he later died. And it goes on and on and on. It goes on, man. 2002, look her up into 2002. This is how many, right? And this is, look, if this is not your family member, who cares? But if this is your friend or family member on this list, then you're going to be bothered about this. And it goes on, man. This list stops it stops in 2003. That is where that list stops. If you want to go and have a look at this for yourself, that's the website it's on, right? Institute of Race Relations, Black Deaths in Custody, right? This was published in 2002 by this chap. Go and have a look at it for yourself. Go and have a look at that for yourself. Go and have a look at that for yourself, man. It's not funny. And look, sorry, I know that's not funny, but I just had to show you that. I had to show you that. I want to look at one other thing, and then I'll let you go, right? So what I'm going to do, shocking. What I'm going to do, let's bring this little article up. Let's bring this little article up. All right, so nope, already looked at that. Let's do. Where's it gone? Let's make sure I've got the right article. Not that. Not that one. Let's get the right one. Where is it gone? Bear with me. Not that one. Let's find the right article. Let's find the correct one. That one. Right, so it's that. Right, let's drop that in, if I can. That one there. There we go. Right. Let's bring that up. Right, okay, so let's just read a little bit around this. Let's just go from the top. Right, so listen to this. Black men 7 times more likely to die following police restraint, but racism not being addressed. Right, 7 times more likely to die following police restraint. Right now, now the overall figure of black deaths in police custody per year seems not to be a lot, but when you compare, when you look at how many, with black African Caribbean people in the UK, I think our numbers is under 2 or 3%. Sometimes we think, even I used to think we're more than what we, in terms of numbers, more than what we actually are in the UK. But no, we're literally just 2 or 3%, if that. All right. So anyway, let's read this. And this is quite a recent article. This article is just, I think it's a year and a bit old. Yeah. Families of black people who die following police contact cannot get accountability for racism from a system that is not fit for purpose. A new report from the organization Inquest has revealed. In I Can't Breathe, and again, that's off the back of George Floyd. In I Can't Breathe, Race, Death and British Policing, Inquest investigated the processes, procedures and evidence base of the Independent Office for Police Conduct, IOPC, completely useless organization, if I may say so, and the coronal system to examine how accountability for racism is delivered. This has been a long-standing problem in Britain, for concerns were heightened in the wake of the George Floyd murder in 2020 during COVID. Inquest found a system which works against delivering accountability that appeared blind to the evidence and where racial discrimination was not addressed meaningfully. The detailed report makes the following issue clear for the first time. Official data never before made public shows that black people are 7 times more likely to die than white people following the use of restraint by police. Now, the only issue that I've got with what I've just read out is a lot of the times when we're talking mainly about black men, the term black people will be used. That makes sense. But when we're talking about black women, they will specifically say black women. Right? If you don't believe me, go and check it out. Just listen out for it. I've already gone through a list which was predominantly mainly men on that death list. Right? I think we only had one woman on that list, and that woman I don't even think was a black woman. I think she was an Asian lady. This is not to lessen the severity, the seriousness of her death, but we're talking about the death of black men, right? So rather than say black people, in order to serve black men, we specifically have to say black men, right? That's what we have to do. Official data, I've already read that. No death of a black person following police custody or contact has led to officers being disciplined for racism at a conduct or criminal level. In other words, there's been no comeback, nothing at all. Despite the stark racial disproportionality evidenced in data, none of the accountability processes effectively or sustainably consider the potential role of racism in deaths. Britain's leading human rights lawyers told Inquest that the role of racism is not adequately scrutinized by a post-death investigation system, right? I mean, you got the Independent Police Complaints Commission, but they're not independent, in my opinion, right? They're crap, useless, no teeth. The question of whether racism contributed to the treatment of a loved one is invariably in the minds of Black families, really? In the minds of Black families, but not one most felt they could raise, but not one what most families felt they could raise. In the aftermath of these deaths, the bereaved families' testimonies evidence the police's attempts to demonize them and their loved ones. And that happened in the case of what happened to Stephen Lawrence. Even though Stephen Lawrence didn't die in police custody, for those that don't know, he was killed by a whole heap of little racists down there in Eltham, southeast London. The truth is, after the fact, it was the family that were demonized, investigated, and all of those things by the police, to the point where the police had to apologize. I don't quote me on this, but I think they got compensation from the police for that fact. But don't quote me on that. Do check that out for yourself. As they sought to minimize possible wrongdoing, patterns arising from deaths, evidence racist stereotypes of of Black men from police, equating them with dangerousness and criminality. Officers were often quick to escalate the use of force, particularly against those in mental health crisis. So how the hell, why would you do that? You know they're sick. They need help. They don't need to be sat on by police, literally. And I mean that literally. The potential role that racism might have had in the police's treatment of Black men is entirely absent from the official version of these deaths. Racism is not being addressed or challenged by the police watchdog, IOPC, because they're useless. That's why. Coroners or the Crown Prosecution Service, CPS. Police officers and forces are resistant to facing up to the reality of institutional racism. Lawyers reports that they are often uncooperative when questioned and simply deny their actions are influenced by racism. The police watchdog is failing to challenge the police. We know that. Data. Inquest's analysis of official data from the IOPC found that the categorization of certain deaths is, listen to this, is obscuring the extent of racial disproportionality by excluding many of the most contentious restraint-related deaths of Black men. In other words, what the police are doing is recategorizing or categorizing certain deaths to remove them from official figures. Does that make sense? The Home Office has therefore claimed in 2021 that Black men are not more likely to die in custody cases where use of force or restraint is present. What I mean by not more likely is not more likely than the host population, i.e. Caucasian people. They've done that by recategorizing the death, the mode of death. Yeah. Inquest's analysis of data on all police restraint related cases shows that Black people are in fact 7 times more likely to die than white people when restraint is a feature. Using inquest data, and that means more Black men. Remember what I said about Black people? We're talking about Black men. Using inquest's data from casework and monitoring between 2011 and 2021, 52 Black people died, 52 Black men died in or following police custody and contact. Of the total number of deaths recorded, 13% were Black people, who are therefore 4 times more likely to die than the proportion of the population they represent. Remember I said that was 2 to 3%, if that. Deaths of Black men continue at disproportionately high levels, with the latest cases such as Chris Kaba, Oladeji Omisho, if I'm pronouncing that name wrong, please forgive me, and Godric Ossie, if I'm pronouncing that name wrong, please forgive me, serving as a reminder of the urgency of the action needed. This is what's going on. This is what's been going on, and this is what is going on. I'll stop there. Again, if you want to read this for yourself, right, it's on the Inquest website. Inquest.org.uk/police racism report 2023. Go and read it for yourself. Go and read it for yourself, right? So basically, let me drop this down. Let me drop that down. Yeah, so anyway, so it's got, look, you know when you read serious stuff on the web, right? And some people say, oh, it's getting boring. Oh, what's he reading this for? What's he reading this for? Listen, if you're living in the West, yo, Danby, good to have you on board, right? If you're living in the West, that is what, and you're a black male, that is what you're living under. That's what you're living under. Whether you're living in the States where everyone and his bear is allowed to carry a gun, which if you're living in the UK is crazy anyway. But look, I understand everyone does their thing a little differently. That's a reggae song, right? Everybody does their thing a little differently. In the UK, right, you saw by that list that I brought up that you've had black men in the UK being restrained, being sat on, dying by, so all kinds of methods of death. You saw that. You saw it. You saw it. You saw it. Whoops. Let me, for those of you that want to see that again, because I know it's unbelievable. I couldn't believe it when I read it. I couldn't believe it. I could not believe it. So let me bring that up one more time so you can actually see it again. This list of deaths in police custody. Go back to the beginning, right? Now remember, this just starts in 1978. I was born in 68, right? And I know for a fact that you had black men dying in the UK in police custody going back to the mid 50s. How do I know that? Because my granddad told me, right? Because my granddad told me, and other men of that generation told me as well. They told me a whole heap of stuff about skinheads being chased, but I know that, you know, running fights in Notting Hill. But anyway, this is a list of black men, and not just black men, but men of ethnic minorities dying in police custody. But most of these are black men right throughout the 80s. And for those of you that want to see this, it's the Institute of Race Relations, starting in 1978. This list starts at 1978, Stoke Newington Police Station, and it goes on and on and on. Now, remember, not one of these cases resulted in a policeman or woman being prosecuted, or rather, literally being put in prison. Because you could be prosecuted, but that doesn't mean the investigation is going to go anywhere. It doesn't mean just because the policeman or woman's been prosecuted, that doesn't mean that they are going to be put in prison. Not one of these cases. This is Norbury Police Station. This is an Indian man. I used to live opposite Norbury Police Station. I literally used to live opposite that station. Crazy, right? So Brixton Police Station, my nursery, well, the nursery I used to attend was directly behind Brixton Police Station. So these are all mainly black male deaths in police custody. Brixton Police Station. Why are we talking about this? We're talking about this off the back of our brother, and I'm going to use that phrase from now on, our young brother being shot and killed in Florida. Just to say this kind of nonsense happens all over the place. Most of these guys here, none of them, well, one, to my knowledge, was shot and killed by actually there was a couple shot and killed by coppers. But you know, whether you're restrained, sat on, you die in the back of a police meat wagon. However you die, it's a death. And this is black male life. So one of the reasons why I'm looking at this is I'm going to ask, Adambi writes low intensity warfare. Exactly. And Adambi writes that there's a book by a man called Frank Kitson. For those of you that have never heard of Frank Kitson, Google the name Frank Kitson and put beside it low intensity warfare. Yeah? Just Google it. Low Intensity Warfare is a book written by a man called Frank Kitson, right? He practiced his craft in against the Mau Mau in Africa. I think it's in Kenya, or is that Uganda? Anyway, in the colonies on the African continent, he honed his craft in Northern Ireland, right, and wrote the training manual for the police at Hendon Training Centre. It's all based on his way of dealing with what he called the enemy within. Right, that's what Adambi's alluding to. Go and read it. It's a great book to read. It will tell you a lot about how this the powers that be, the police and the state, sees the enemy within, i.e. black people, specifically black men. So part of the reason why I'm looking at all of this is to say, you know, I'm going to say, look, we've been struggling, guys. We've been struggling in this country for many, many, many years, right? Through my granddad's generation, to my mum's generation, to our generation, and my son's 18. Would I tell my son that the struggle here is worth it? You know, at one point we had families, we had communities in the UK, we had all of that. But would I say to my son now that those deaths in police custody, us being killed by the police, you know, or running the risk of that happening to us, it might just be a stop and search, a sus. Again, that was the reason for one of the riots down there in Brixton. Would I say to my son that we've got a community in the UK that's worth the fight, that's worth the struggle against the police and all that? Nah, I wouldn't say that. Honestly, I would say if you've got the means to get out, I would just simply say, get out. That's the film, isn't it? Get out, get out. I'll simply say, get out. I'd actually shout it. I'd also say, run. You know that woman from that precog from the Minority Report? You know, when she's I don't know, you know, the precogs in that. If you've never seen the film Minority Report, go and watch it. Because in that film, you've got the precogs and they can see the future. They can also see the past. So this particular precog is seeing the character that is seeing Tom Cruise's character, seeing his child, his son, who died, basically, or basically went missing, but seeing, you know, the precog basically is getting a sight of, if you like, of Tom Cruise's character's son. But in the end, the precog says to Tom Cruise's character, sorry, I've got to stop now, and you've got to run. You've got to run, says that to Tom Cruise's character. At the end of the day, right, I don't think the juice here is worth the squeeze. If you can, you know, it's not all of us have the means to escape this country. But honestly, if you can, and look, it's fine if you disagree with me. Some people think, you know, it's worth fighting for what we have here. Our grandparents came here. Our parents came here. We've got to fight for what's ours and all that kind of stuff. Listen, if that's you, fine. You do you. But if you're going to ask me, what would I advise men to do or young men to do? What am I going to advise my own son to do? It's going to be to think about living life outside of the West, anywhere outside the West. That is what I'm going. That's what I'm going. That's what I'm going to. That's what I'm going to say to my son. Think about life outside of the West. This is not the only place you can live. Yo, Black British Library. That's KP. I'm sure that's KP Jones. Good to have you aboard, sir, man. It's good to not heard from you for a long time. So it's nice. Good to see you, bro. But that is what I'm going to advise my son. I'm going to advise him to look for life outside of the West. Seriously. And it's not to say that I think he may run the risk of being another death in custody statistic or being shot and killed. I mean, it can happen. You know, the amount of guys that I know that have been harassed, beaten up by the police and all the rest of it, it's a lot. Going back years. It's just the truth. KB Jones writes, yes, it's me. Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. Even when I was a kid, man, we used to get stopped and searched by the police, you know, when we were just in my late teens, you know, just driving around the West End. This is when the IRA were planting bombs in the West End. For some reason, they would stop me and my black friends in our Beetle car saying they've got to search the car. We would say, why? And they've got to search us. We would say, why? And they'll say, because the IRA are planting bombs in the UK. I'd say, you're stopping our car because the IRA are planting bombs in the West End, in central London. Okay, but why are you stopping us? And then they'll say, yeah, because the IRA are planting bombs. And yeah, but why are you stopping us? Yeah, but why are you stopping us? And then they would search us and search the car, right? But why are you stopping us? Do you know what I mean? So this is the foolishness we've had to put up with for a long time. And it's, you know, I don't see it getting any better. The question is, do you want your son to grow up in that nonsense? That's the question. I'm not saying they're not necessarily going to get shot and killed, like what happened to this poor young brother in Florida. Although it might happen. But do you even want your son to be stopped and searched by the police? Why? Do you want your son to, you know, on one level, I understand knife crime and all of that kind of stuff, right? But it's a minority of young black men that are carrying knives and all that. And there is a danger of that. There is. But I don't really want my son to be stopped and searched by the police. I don't want him to have that contact with the police. I just don't. I don't want my son to really have that kind of contact with the police. Is that okay? I don't want him to have. I don't want my son to be on first name basis with a copper. I don't. I just don't. I really don't. Sorry. I really don't. I don't want that to be his normal. Do you understand? I don't want that. I don't want him to get frustrated because he's been stopped and searched a few times in a week just because he's really tall and quite big, and him getting frustrated, resisting arrest, being dragged into a police station. I don't want to have to go to a police station and bail him out just because he's been stopped one too many times by some stupid coppers. Is that okay? Am I allowed to feel that and think that? Is that, as a father, am I okay to think that? Is it okay to not want your son to have your experience, my experience? Is it okay for me to not want to have for my son to not want my son to grow up having my experience? Is that okay? And is it okay for me to want my son to sow his life into a country that's gonna look past his color and not see him as a 6'5" danger, because he's about 6'5"? Is that okay? Is it okay for me to want my son to go to another country when he's quite young Because one of the things that kept us here was this thing about a black community, having a black community in the UK. That's one of the things that kept us here, whether it be in Tottenham, down in Brixton, or whatever part of London. That was one of the things that kept us here campaigning. But in 2024, in my opinion, we don't have a black community in the UK. As I've said before, even as a Christian, having Sunday friends doesn't constitute a black community. Online communities, I know we like to use that term community for what we do online, but that's not a community. It's not. We used to have community in the UK, right? In all of those areas. The very fact that we had a riot or an uprising down in Brixton as black people, right? That was the sign, believe it or not, of a community. I don't believe in mashing up the place where you live. But I don't think in 2024, 2025, you would ever have an uprising in Brixton anymore because it's been gentrified. And in any case, a community is not single parent baby mamas. That's not a community. That's not a community. A community is married grandparents, married people, right? Children, right? All of that whole thing is what a community is. It's not just a load of baby mamas with a load of baby daddies who sort of move around all the baby mamas. That's not a community. In other words, what I'm saying is that there's nothing to protect. That's really what I'm saying. So I would prefer my son go to a country and sow his life into a real community where at least the police are not going to do you because you're black, because you're a black man. That's just the truth. This is not me. This is not me, trying to use colour as an excuse or nothing like that. I'm just sick and tired of it. I just don't want the stress of having to deal with racism. Is that okay? Are you allowed to say that in 2024? Or is that seen as a total excuse? Yeah. Anyway, I think I've been on here long enough. Listen, if you're going to watch this on a replay, I'm going to chop all this up, right? Do subscribe to the channel if you're new here. Hit the bell. As I said, I'm now at 1,000 subscribers. It's taken long enough, right? I think it's down to me not streaming regularly. So I'm going to do my best to do that, even if it's like twice a week on regular days. Wednesday and Friday, I'll try and do that. Adangbi, it's been good having you aboard. It's been a long time, it feels like. KB, it's been ages. So listen, I'm going to try and do Wednesday and Friday regularly. Forgive me for going on about the last thing that I've been talking about. I know sometimes you have to be serious, right? Sometimes it's not all just about modern independent feminists talking a lot of nonsense, right? That's humor, right? It's funny, but there's more serious things than that, right? But so, guys, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell, and I am out. This is, God, what day is it today? It's Wednesday today. So I'm going to stream on Friday, hopefully. I'm going to do my best to stream on Friday. So, guys, it's been good. Take it easy. Have a good evening. Take care.